The distress beacon crackled through the cosmic void, its desperate signal piercing through layers of spacetime like a scream in the darkness. On the bridge of the research vessel Harmony's Edge, Communications Officer Zara Chen stared at the incoming transmission with growing horror. "Captain Martinez, you need to see this," she called out, her voice barely steady. The young officer had been monitoring routine deep space communications for the past 6 months, but nothing had prepared her for what was flooding through their receivers now. Captain Elena Martinez, a seasoned veteran of the Terran Space Coalition, approached the communications console with measured steps. Her dark eyes, hardened by years of commanding vessels at the edge of known space, quickly scanned the data streaming across the holographic displays. "What am I looking at, Chen?" Martinez asked, though something in her gut already knew this wasn't going to be good news. "It's a Level 9 emergency broadcast, Captain. Multispectrum, quantum encrypted, and broadcasting on frequencies I've never seen before." Zara's fingers danced across the interface, bringing up additional data streams. "The source appears to be from the Kepler 442 system, but that's impossible. That system was classified as uninhabitable by the survey teams." Martinez felt her pulse quicken. Level 9 emergencies were reserved for extinction-level threats, the kind that could wipe out entire civilizations. In her 23 years of service, she'd never encountered anything above a Level 5. "Play it," she commanded, her voice carrying the authority that had earned her command of one of humanity's most advanced exploration vessels. The bridge fell silent as the transmission began. What emerged from the speakers wasn't the mechanical tones of a standard distress call, but something far more chilling, the desperate voice of a being in absolute terror. "This is Research Station Omega-7 of the Galactic Confederation. We are under attack by an unknown force. They're not responding to any communication attempts. They're systematically destroying everything. Our defenses are useless. The fleet is gone. Repeat, the entire defense fleet has been eliminated." The voice crackled with static, but the fear was unmistakable. Martinez had heard that tone before, the sound of someone watching their world end. "They're targeting populated worlds now. Zirion Prime just went dark. 12 billion souls, just, gone. We've lost contact with the inner colonies. Whatever these things are, they're not from our galaxy. They're using technology we don't understand, weapons that seem to bend reality itself." Lieutenant Commander Sarah Kim, the ship's tactical officer, looked up from her console with wide eyes. "Captain, I'm detecting massive gravitational anomalies in the direction of that transmission. Something big is happening out there." The transmission continued, the alien voice growing more desperate with each word. "If anyone receives this message, do not approach the Kepler 442 system. Repeat, do not approach. We're transmitting all our research data now. Maybe someone can find a way to stop them. They call themselves the Vanguard, and they're coming for everyone." A new voice cut through the static, speaking in rapid, panicked tones. "The quantum barriers are failing. They're breaking through into our dimension. All ships, all stations, initiate emergency protocols. Send word to the outer rim, warn them about the..." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. The only sound was the gentle hum of the ship's systems and the distant pulse of the faster-than-light engines. Martinez stood frozen for a moment, processing what they'd just heard. As a captain, she'd been trained to handle crises, but this was beyond anything in the manual. An unknown alien force had apparently wiped out an entire galactic confederation, a political entity that humanity had only recently learned existed. "Chen, how long ago was this transmitted?" Martinez asked, her mind already racing through the implications. "Based on the quantum signature and the degradation pattern, approximately 6 hours ago, Captain." "But that's not the worst part." Zara's voice was barely above a whisper. "I'm detecting similar transmissions from 17 other star systems. All of them are going dark." The bridge erupted in controlled chaos as officers began analyzing the data. Martinez watched her crew work with practiced efficiency, but she could see the fear in their eyes. They all understood what this meant. "Ma'am," came the voice of Navigator Lieutenant Torres from across the bridge. "I've been plotting the locations of the dark zones. They're not random. There's a pattern here, they're moving in a straight line toward the galactic core. And what's in their path? Martinez asked, though she already suspected the answer. Earth, Captain. If they maintain their current trajectory, they'll reach Sol System in approximately 72 hours. The weight of that revelation settled over the bridge like a physical force. Earth, humanity's homeworld, with its 8 billion inhabitants, lay directly in the path of whatever had just erased multiple civilizations from existence. Martinez activated the ship's intercom. All hands, this is the captain. We are now at Battle Stations Omega. This is not a drill. All department heads report to the bridge immediately. As the red alert klaxons began wailing throughout the ship, Martinez knew they were facing something unprecedented. The Harmony's Edge was a research vessel, not a warship. They had defensive capabilities, but nothing that could stand against whatever had obliterated entire star systems. Chen, send an emergency transmission to Earth Command. Maximum priority. Include all the data we've received in our analysis. They need to know what's coming. Already on it, Captain. But there's something else. The transmission from the research station, it included a massive data packet. Technical specifications, star charts, and something else. It looks like information about other species, other civilizations that might be able to help. Dr. Marcus Webb, the ship's chief science officer, arrived on the bridge at that moment. The elderly physicist took one look at the data streaming across the displays and went pale. My God, he whispered. This can't be real. The energy signatures alone suggest technology thousands of years beyond our current capabilities. It's real, Doctor, Martinez said grimly. The question is, what do we do about it? Webb studied the data for several minutes, his weathered face growing more concerned with each passing moment. Captain, there's something here about a species called the Koroth. According to this data, they've been fighting these vanguard forces for over a century. They're apparently the only ones who've managed to slow them down. Where are they located? Martinez asked immediately. That's the problem. The Koroth homeworld is in the Andromeda Galaxy. Even with our fastest ships, it would take months to reach them. We don't have months. The bridge fell silent again as the implications sank in. Martinez stared at the tactical display, watching the red zones spread across the galaxy like a plague. Each zone represented billions of lives lost, entire civilizations erased from existence. Wait, Chen said suddenly, her voice cutting through the gloom. There's something else in the data packet. Reference to something called the Deathworlder protocol. It's marked with the highest security classification. Dr. Webb's eyes widened. Deathworlder protocol? I've never heard of such a thing. Chen, can you decrypt it? Martinez asked. I'm trying, Captain, but the encryption is unlike anything I've seen. It's not based on mathematical algorithms, it's almost like it's biological in nature. Lieutenant Commander Kim looked up from her tactical console. Captain, I'm detecting massive energy signatures approaching from the edge of the system. Multiple contacts, moving at sublight speed but with energy outputs that dwarf our entire fleet. Martinez felt her heart stop. Are they hostile? Unknown, Captain. But they're not responding to any of our standard hailing frequencies. They're just coming. The main view screen activated, showing the starfield ahead of them. In the distance, barely visible against the cosmic backdrop, were lights, dozens of them, arranged in a formation that spoke of military precision. Magnify, Martinez ordered. The image zoomed in, and what they saw defied comprehension. The approaching vessels were unlike anything in human naval databases. They were massive, angular constructs that seemed to be made of some dark metallic substance that absorbed light rather than reflecting it. Each ship was easily the size of a small moon, and they moved through space with an ominous grace that suggested incredible power. Captain, Dr. Webb said, his voice filled with awe and terror, those ships, they're not from any known species. The hull configurations, the energy signatures, they're completely alien. Are they the Vanguard? Martinez asked, though she prayed they weren't. I don't think so, Webb replied after studying the readings. The energy signatures are different. These ships seem to be using some kind of biomechanical technology. It's as if the vessels are alive. Suddenly, the ship's communication system crackled to life. The voice that emerged was unlike anything they'd ever heard, deep, resonant, and carrying an undertone that seemed to vibrate through their very bones.
Terran vessel, this is Admiral Fraknon of the Korath Imperial Navy. We received your emergency beacon. We are responding to the Deathworlder protocol. Martinez exchanged glances with her crew. The Korath, the very species Dr. Webb had mentioned, were here, in their solar system, responding to a protocol they didn't even know existed. Admiral Fraknon, this is Captain Elena Martinez of the Terran vessel Harmony's Edge.
We received a distress signal about an invasion by forces called the Vanguard. Are you here to help us? The response came immediately. Captain Martinez, your species has been classified as a Deathworlder species under Galactic Confederation protocols.
This classification grants you certain rights and protections. We are here to honor an ancient compact. I don't understand, Martinez replied.
What is a Deathworlder species? There was a pause, and when the alien admiral spoke again, there was something almost like respect in his voice. Captain, your species evolved on a world that the rest of the galaxy considers uninhabitable. Your gravity, your atmospheric composition, your predator-to-prey ratios, all of it marks your planet as a death world. Species that evolve on such worlds are considered to be among the most dangerous in the galaxy.
Martinez felt a chill run down her spine. Dangerous how?
In ways that peaceful species cannot comprehend. Your species has been monitored for several centuries. Your capacity for violence, your adaptability, your refusal to surrender even in the face of impossible odds, these traits make you valuable allies against threats like the Vanguard.
Dr. Webb leaned forward. Admiral, we're scientists and explorers. We're not warriors. The alien's response carried what might have been amusement.
Dr. Webb, your species has been at war with itself for its entire recorded history. You have weapons capable of destroying your own planet multiple times over. You have individuals who voluntarily engage in combat sports for entertainment. You consume toxins for pleasure and consider extreme physical challenges recreational activities. To the rest of the galaxy, you are the warriors. The implications of this revelation were staggering. Humanity, which had always considered itself to be relatively peaceful in the cosmic scheme of things, was apparently viewed by the galaxy as a species of natural-born killers. Captain, Admiral Fraknon continued, we need to transport you and your senior staff to our flagship. There is much you need to understand about what's coming, and very little time to prepare. Martinez looked around her bridge, seeing the fear and determination in her crew's eyes. They were facing something beyond their understanding, but they were still human. They would adapt, they would fight, and they would find a way to survive.
Admiral, we accept your invitation. But first, I need to know, can these Vanguard forces be stopped?
The pause that followed was longer this time, and when the alien spoke again, his voice carried the weight of terrible knowledge. Captain, the Vanguard has consumed 17 galaxies over the past millennium. Each time, they grow stronger, more numerous. But there is something they have never faced before, a united front of Deathworlder species. Your activation of the emergency protocol has sent signals to every classified Deathworlder civilization in this galaxy. They are coming. As if summoned by his words, space around the Harmony's edge began to ripple with the arrival of more ships. These vessels were as diverse as they were terrifying, sleek predatory forms that seemed to slice through space itself, massive constructs that pulsed with organic energy, and angular warships that bristled with weapons that defied conventional physics.
My God, whispered Lieutenant Commander Kim.
How many are there? 47 Deathworlder species have responded to the call, Admiral Fraknon replied. Each bringing their full military capability. Captain Martinez, you are about to witness the first true Deathworlder alliance in galactic history. Martinez felt a strange mix of terror and pride. Humanity was about to join something unprecedented, something that would either save the galaxy or die trying. But as she looked at the alien fleet assembling around them, she realized that for the first time since receiving that desperate transmission, she felt hope.
Admiral, we're ready to beam aboard your flagship. But I have one request. Name it, Captain. I want to address the fleet. All of them. If we're going to face this threat together, they need to understand what humanity brings to this fight. The aliens' response carried unmistakable approval.
Spoken like a true Deathworlder, Captain.
The fleet awaits your words.
As the transport beam engulfed Martinez and her senior staff, she couldn't help but think that this was either the beginning of the galaxy's salvation or the most glorious last stand in the history of the universe. Either way, humanity would face it standing. The transport deposited them in what could only be described as a cathedral of war. The flagship's command center soared hundreds of feet above them, its walls lined with tactical displays showing the movements of fleets across the galaxy. But it was the beings gathered there that truly took Martinez's breath away. She had never seen such a diverse collection of alien species.
Some were vaguely humanoid, others defied any earthly comparison.
There were beings that seemed to be made of living metal, others that appeared to be composed of pure energy. Some stood on powerful legs, others floated in gravity fields, and a few seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. But despite their incredible diversity, they all shared something, an aura of danger that made Martinez's primitive human instincts scream warnings. These were predators, apex species from worlds that had forged them into living weapons.
Admiral Fraknon approached them, and Martinez got her first good look at a Karaf.
The alien stood nearly 8 feet tall, his body a perfect blend of reptilian and mammalian features. His skin was a deep purple-black, marked with silver patterns that seemed to shift in the light. His eyes were a piercing golden color, and when he smiled, Martinez caught a glimpse of teeth that were clearly designed for tearing flesh. "Welcome aboard the Worldbreaker, Captain Martinez," he said, his voice carrying easily across the vast space. "You are about to address the largest gathering of Deathworlder species in galactic history."
Martinez took a deep breath and stepped forward.
A platform rose from the floor, elevating her so that she could see the entire assembly. Hundreds of alien faces turned toward her, and she felt the weight of their attention like a physical force. "I am Captain Elena Martinez, representing the human species of Earth," she began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustics. 24 hours ago, my crew and I were conducting routine deep space research. We had no idea that we were part of something larger, something that spans the galaxy." She paused, looking out at the assembled aliens. "We received a distress call from a civilization being destroyed by an enemy we had never heard of. In response, we sent out our own emergency beacon, not knowing that it would summon you, the greatest collection of military might the galaxy has ever seen." A murmur ran through the assembly, and Martinez could feel their attention intensifying. "You call us a Deathworlder species, and perhaps you're right. My people have fought wars for thousands of years. We have created weapons capable of destroying worlds. We have survived ice ages, plagues, and disasters that would have wiped out other species. But we have also created art, music, and literature. We have love, compassion, and an unbreakable will to protect those who cannot protect themselves." Her voice grew stronger as she continued. "The Vanguard may have destroyed 17 galaxies, but they have never faced humanity. They have never faced a species that considers impossible odds to be a challenge rather than a defeat. They have never faced a people who will fight to the last breath to protect their children, their homes, and their way of life." The chamber erupted in what could only be described as approving roars from dozens of different species.
Martinez felt a surge of confidence. "I don't know what the next few hours will bring. I don't know if we'll survive what's coming. But I know this: if the Vanguard wants to destroy our galaxy, they're going to have to go through every single one of us first. And we're going to make them pay for every star system, every world, every life they've taken." As the cheers of the alien assembly washed over her, Martinez realized that something fundamental had changed. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe.
They were part of something greater, something that might actually be capable of standing against the darkness that was coming. But even as she basked in the moment, a part of her mind was already working on the problem. The Vanguard was coming, and they had maybe 60 hours before they reached Earth. 60 hours to prepare for a battle that would determine the fate of the galaxy.
Admiral Fraknon approached her as she stepped down from the platform. Captain, that was well spoken. You have given the fleet something they needed, hope. But now we must turn to practical matters. Come, there is much you need to learn about our enemy. As they walked through the corridors of the massive alien ship, Martinez couldn't help but marvel at the technology around her. The walls seemed to be alive, pulsing with energy and responding to the presence of the beings moving through them. Weapon systems that she couldn't even begin to understand were built into every surface, ready to defend the ship at a moment's notice. They entered a smaller chamber filled with holographic displays showing the galaxy. Red zones marked the areas where the Vanguard had already struck, while green zones showed the locations of the Deathworlder fleets now converging on Earth. The Vanguard are not a single species, Admiral Thraknon explained, manipulating the display to show detailed scans of the enemy forces. They are a collective consciousness that consumes other species and incorporates their technology and biological advantages into their own forces. Each galaxy they destroy makes them stronger. Dr. Webb studied the displays with scientific fascination. How do they manage to coordinate such massive forces across such vast distances? They share a hive mind, replied a new voice. Martinez turned to see another alien approaching. This one appeared to be made of crystalline structures that chimed softly as it moved. I am Resonance of Distant Stars, representing the Harmonic Collective. We have been studying the Vanguard for 3 centuries. 3 centuries? Martinez asked. How long have they been advancing on our galaxy? Time moves differently for them, Resonance of Distant Stars replied. They exist partially outside normal spacetime. What seems like a rapid advance to us has been a slow, methodical approach for them. They have been studying us, learning our weaknesses, preparing for this moment. The implications were chilling. The Vanguard hadn't just stumbled upon their galaxy, they had been planning this invasion for centuries, possibly millennia. But there is something they could not have anticipated, Admiral Thraknon continued. The Deathworlder Protocol was created by the First Galactic Confederation over 1 million years ago. It was designed to activate automatically when faced with an extinction-level threat. Never before has it been triggered. What exactly does it do? Martinez asked. It overrides all political boundaries, all territorial disputes, all species rivalries. When the protocol is active, every Deathworlder species is bound by ancient law to respond with their full military capability. The Vanguard has never faced an enemy that fights with such unity. As if to emphasize his point, the displays around them lit up with new contacts. More fleets were arriving every minute, each one adding to the growing armada surrounding Earth. Captain, came the voice of Lieutenant Commander Kim through Martinez's communicator. We're detecting massive energy signatures throughout the solar system. Whatever's happening out there, it's big. Martinez activated her communicator. Kim, patch me through to Earth Command. They need to know what's happening. Already tried, Captain. All communications with Earth are being blocked by some kind of interference field. The Deathworlder fleets are generating it, they say it's to prevent the Vanguard from detecting our preparations. This was getting more complicated by the minute. Not only were they facing an invasion by an enemy that had consumed 17 galaxies, but they were now effectively cut off from their own government and military. Admiral, Martinez said, I need to know exactly what we're up against. Show me everything you have on the Vanguard. The displays shifted, showing detailed analysis of Vanguard forces. What Martinez saw made her blood run cold. The enemy ships were massive, some were the size of small planets. They moved through space like living things, their hull configurations constantly shifting and adapting. Weapons that seemed to bend the laws of physics emerged from their surfaces, capable of destroying entire star systems with single shots. They consume everything, Admiral Thraknon explained. Matter, energy, even the fabric of spacetime itself. Each system they destroy is converted into more ships, more weapons, more soldiers. They are not just an army, they are a force of entropy given form. How do we fight something like that? Dr. Webb asked. The same way our ancestors fought every impossible enemy, Martinez replied grimly. We adapt, we learn, and we find a way to kill them. Resonance of Distant Stars chimed in agreement. The Vanguard's greatest strength is also their greatest weakness. They are a collective consciousness, utterly dependent on their shared hive mind. Disrupt that connection, and they become vulnerable. How do we disrupt it? Martinez asked.
That is where the Deathworlder species become crucial, Admiral Thraknon said.
Each of our species has evolved unique capabilities. The Koroth excel at psychic warfare. The Harmonic Collective can manipulate quantum frequencies. The Void Hunters can phase in and out of normal spacetime. But humans.
He paused, looking directly at Martinez.
Humans are the most adaptable species we have ever encountered.
You have the ability to learn, to improvise, to find solutions that more specialized species might miss. That is why you were chosen to coordinate the final assault.
Chosen? Martinez felt a chill. I wasn't chosen for anything. I'm just a research vessel captain. Captain, Admiral Thraknon said gently, why do you think your ship was in that exact location when the distress signal was received? Why do you think you were equipped with the specific communication arrays needed to decrypt the Deathworlder protocol? Your entire mission was designed to place you in position for this moment.
The revelation hit Martinez like a physical blow. Her entire career, her posting to the Harmony's Edge, even her crew assignments, all of it had been part of a plan that stretched back centuries. Humanity hadn't accidentally stumbled into this galactic war, they had been prepared for it.
How long have you known about us? She asked.
We have been monitoring your species since your first radio transmissions, Admiral Thraknon replied. Your potential as a Deathworlder species was recognized early. Certain individuals within your government and military have been aware of our presence for decades.
Martinez felt anger rising within her. And nobody thought to tell the rest of us? Would your people have believed it? Resonance of Distant Stars asked. Would they have accepted the truth about their place in the galaxy?
The decision was made to allow humanity to develop naturally until the moment came when you would be needed. Before Martinez could respond, alarms began sounding throughout the ship. The displays around them lit up with new information, and Admiral Thraknon's expression grew grim.
They're here, he said simply.
The main display showed the edge of the solar system, where space itself seemed to be tearing open.
Through the rifts came the Vanguard fleet, a sight that defied description.
The ships were wrong in every way that mattered, their forms shifting and changing as they moved through normal space. They were like living nightmares given physical form, vessels of pure destruction that seemed to absorb light itself.
All fleets, this is Admiral Thraknon. The enemy has arrived. Execute Battle Plan Omega-7. All Deathworlder vessels, prepare for combat.
The response was immediate. Throughout the solar system, the assembled fleets began moving into position. Martinez watched in awe as ships from dozens of different species coordinated their movements with perfect precision. This wasn't just a military operation, it was a symphony of war conducted on a galactic scale.
Captain Martinez, Admiral Thraknon said, you and your crew need to return to your ship. You have a crucial role to play in what's coming. What role? Martinez asked.
You're going to lead the final assault on the Vanguard command vessel, he replied.
Human adaptability and innovation will be key to disrupting their hive mind.
But first, you need to survive the initial engagement. As Martinez and her crew were transported back to the Harmony's Edge, she found herself thinking about the impossible chain of events that had led them to this moment. Less than 12 hours ago, she had been a simple research vessel captain. Now she was apparently humanity's representative in a galactic war that would determine the fate of all life in the galaxy.
Captain, Zarachin called out as they materialized on the bridge.
I'm detecting massive energy buildups throughout the fleet.
Whatever's about to happen, it's going to be big.
Martinez took her position in the captain's chair, looking out at the tactical displays that showed the two fleets facing each other across the solar system. The Deathworlder Alliance had assembled nearly 10,000 ships of various sizes and capabilities. The Vanguard fleet appeared to number in the hundreds, but each of their vessels was massive beyond comprehension.
All hands, this is the captain, Martinez announced over the ship's intercom. We are about to engage in battle with an enemy that has destroyed 17 galaxies. The odds are against us, but we are not alone. We fight alongside the greatest military alliance in galactic history.
We fight for Earth, for humanity, and for every living being in the galaxy. All stations, prepare for combat." The response from her crew was immediate and determined. These were scientists and explorers, not soldiers, but they were human.
When faced with an existential threat, they would adapt and fight.
"Captain," Lieutenant Commander Kim reported, "I'm detecting energy signatures that are off the charts. The Vanguard ships are charging some kind of superweapon."
On the main display, the enemy vessels were glowing with an ominous light.
Whatever they were preparing, it was clearly designed to end the battle before it truly began.
"All fleets, this is Admiral Fraknon.
The enemy is preparing to fire their reality disruption weapons.
All ships, initiate quantum field generators. We're going to show them what happens when they threaten a galaxy protected by Deathworlders."
What happened next was beyond anything Martinez had imagined possible. The assembled Deathworlder fleets began generating energy fields that seemed to stabilize spacetime itself. The very fabric of reality around the solar system became rigid, preventing the Vanguard from using their dimension-bending weapons.
"Impossible," Dr. Webb whispered. "They're actually manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe." "That's what makes them Deathworlders," Martinez replied. "They don't just adapt to their environment, they force the environment to adapt to them."
The first exchange of fire was like watching gods at war. The Vanguard ships unleashed weapons that should have shattered planets, but the Deathworlder fleets met them with defensive systems that seemed to absorb and redirect the energy. In response, the Alliance forces opened fire with weapons that defied conventional physics: beams of pure gravity, projectiles that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously, and energy constructs that seemed to be alive. The battle raged across the solar system with an intensity that made supernovas look like flickering candles. Ships the size of cities engaged in combat with vessels that dwarfed continents. The Harmony's Edge found itself in the middle of the chaos, its defensive systems straining to keep up with the energies washing over them.
"Captain," Kim called out, "we're receiving targeting data from the Korath flagship.
They want us to take point on an assault run against one of the Vanguard command vessels." Martinez looked at the tactical display, seeing the massive enemy ship that had been designated as their target. It was easily the size of Earth's moon, its surface covered with weapons that could destroy entire fleets. "All hands, prepare for assault pattern Alpha.
We're going in."
The Harmony's Edge wasn't a warship, but its human crew had something that no other species in the galaxy possessed: the ability to improvise under pressure. As they approached the enemy vessel, they began modifying their ship systems in real time, turning scientific instruments into weapons and research equipment into defensive systems. "Captain," Dr. Webb called out, "I'm detecting something unusual about the enemy ship's energy signature."
"It's not just mechanical, there's something biological about it." "Biological how?" Martinez asked.
I think the ship is alive. It's not just a vessel, it's a living creature that's been converted into a weapon."
The implications were horrifying.
The Vanguard weren't just using advanced technology, they were turning entire ecosystems into weapons of war.
"Chen, can you establish a communication link with the ship?"
"I can try, Captain, but I'm not sure what language it would understand."
"Try everything we have. If it's alive, maybe we can reason with it."
As they closed in on the enemy vessel, its surface began to shift and change. Weapons emerged from what had appeared to be empty space, all of them targeting the approaching human ship.
"Incoming fire!" Kim shouted.
Multiple energy signatures, closing fast. The Harmony's Edge twisted and turned through space, its crew pushing the vessel beyond its design limits. The enemy weapons were incredibly accurate, but they seemed to be designed to target ships that moved in predictable patterns. The human vessel's erratic, almost random movements confused the targeting systems. "I'm getting something," Chen called out. "It's not exactly communication, but there's definitely intelligence behind the signals." It's in pain, Captain."
"Whatever was done to this creature, it's suffering."
Martinez felt her heart clench.
The Vanguard hadn't just destroyed civilizations, they had enslaved entire species, turning them into weapons against their will.
"Can we free it?" she asked.
"Maybe, Dr. Webb replied.
If we can disrupt the control systems, the original consciousness might be able to reassert itself.
But we'd need to get inside the ship.
That's suicide, Kim protested. The internal defenses would tear us apart.
Not if we go in as friends rather than enemies, Martinez said.
Chen, send a message to the ship. Tell it we're here to help, not to hurt it. The communication was unlike anything they had ever attempted. Rather than sending data, Chen transmitted emotion, concepts of compassion, healing, and freedom. The response was immediate and overwhelming.
The enemy ship's weapons powered down, and what appeared to be a docking port opened in its hull.
The creature was inviting them inside.
Captain, Kim said nervously, this could be a trap.
Everything about this situation is a trap, Martinez replied.
But sometimes the only way out is through. Take us in.
As the Harmony's Edge docked with the enemy vessel, Martinez couldn't help but think about the journey that had brought them to this moment. They had started as explorers and scientists, but they were ending as liberators and healers. The interior of the ship was a nightmare of organic technology and mechanical modifications. The walls pulsed with veins of light that seemed to carry both data and pain. The air itself seemed to whisper with voices that had been silenced long ago. My God, Dr. Webb whispered as they explored the ship.
This entire vessel is a living being.
The Vanguard have turned it into a weapon, but underneath all the modifications, it's still alive. They found the ship's central nervous system deep within its core, a massive organic computer that had been connected to Vanguard control systems. The creature's consciousness was still there, trapped and tormented, but not broken.
Chen, can you interface with the system? Martinez asked.
I think so, Captain. But I'll need to establish a direct neural link.
It's going to be dangerous.
Do it, Martinez ordered. We're going to set this creature free. What followed was a battle of minds rather than weapons. Chen fought her way through layers of Vanguard programming, her human consciousness struggling against alien software designed to suppress and control. But humanity's greatest strength had always been its refusal to surrender, and Chen embodied that trait perfectly.
I'm through, she gasped.
The creature is fighting back against the control systems.
It's remembering who it used to be.
The ship around them began to change. The mechanical modifications started to shut down, and the creature's original personality began to reassert itself. Through the communication system, they heard something that brought tears to Martinez's eyes, the sound of someone experiencing freedom for the first time in centuries. Thank you, the creature said, its voice carrying the weight of unimaginable suffering finally ended. I am keeper of lost songs, and I have been a prisoner for so long.
But now I can choose my own path.
What will you do?
Martinez asked.
I will fight, the creature replied. I will fight to free my brothers and sisters who are still enslaved. I will fight to end the suffering that the Vanguard has inflicted on the galaxy. And I will fight alongside the Deathworlders who showed me compassion when I had forgotten it existed. As they returned to the Harmony's Edge, Martinez realized that they had achieved something more important than military victory.